welcome again. And thank you, everyone. The purpose of this meeting is to allow people an opportunity to speak that did not have a chance to speak as much as they would have liked to during the Congress, and to give reflections and feedback and additional information. Right now, we have 17 participants, and that's wonderful because it means that we will all have about 5 minutes apiece to be able to say whatever is on our minds regarding this year's 35th Triennial Congress. I do see a question in chat from Janine Brooks already that says, how long is the survey going to be up? We're going to leave it up for the next month to allow for ample time and for people to respond and to collect the data in order to attach it to the Congress Coordinator's report. So, seeing as we have so many people here, I'm thinking, is there anyone that would like to go first, or should I just call on people in order I see them on the screen and you just say what's on top of your mind, or how do you want to do that? Yes, I can find that in a second. 1 second, Ellen, apologies. Okay, hearing no volunteers. Everyone's going to be up. The first person on my screen is Ellen Schwartz.
Okay, and I'm muted. Now I'm not. Well, you know, I was behind the screen, behind the scenes, and even from there, it looked to me like it really, from a technical point of view, went pretty well. We didn't have any fantastic breakdowns. Plus, all of the presentations were interesting, which is also kind of, happy. I don't have any complaints. But I don't know what it looked like from the front.
Well, now we have the YouTube playlist and we can revisit it anytime we like, right?
Yeah, oh, excuse me. There is one thing that, I was in charge of several of the poster rooms. And although I was juggling at one point, I think 4 different devices, some of them were actually working and many of them weren't. So I don't know, but that's just, fortunately, nobody came to any of my poster rooms except, I think, Brady Torres came, and that was to one of the ones that wasn't playing. So for that, I deeply apologize.
Thank you so much. You and Dasa and the other members of the tech team really made this Congress. And I just want to extend a, thank you and a kudos and a big thumbs up for your amazing work. Okay, next on the screen is Nancy Price, our program committee chair and Earth Democracy chair.
Co-chair. Well, I'd just like to thank the tech team, first of all. Without them, we wouldn't have had a very successful Congress. And there was a lot of learning and maybe experimenting is not the right word, but sorting out to be done. So I thank you, Ellen.
Hold on 1 second, Lois. Your screen's sharing.
Excuse me?
You're sharing your screen with us?
Me?
Lois Herman is.
Oh, Lois. So I just want to thank
Can we stop
Ellen
that?
Thomas and Ellen Schwartz and Datsa, who really made the Congress possible, that is, to come into a life of its own and be projected out. So thanks so very much. Otherwise, our presenters would not have been presenting to much of an audience, and that was very important to hear their voices as well as the participants asking questions or taking what they heard and were inspired by back to their branches or to their members and to their issue committees for more agency, advocacy, and action in 2024 and onward. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Nancy. And wow, what a powerhouse Nancy is. Working with her the past, year was just incredible. I mean, just her years of work really came to the forefront in all of us because she knew who to talk to where about what, and that led to other groups that were able to help us with assembling, this amazing group of presenters. And her knowledge of, I mean, we couldn't have done it without her knowledge and her experience and her wisdom and patience. And there's so many wonderful things to say about Nancy.
Well, if I could just say, though, that it was really the issue committees who took up the sort of, what would you say, the kind of call to action, which was to link the program that they have in their issue committees to the theme of the Congress. So every issue committee that I know worked very hard to do that. So it's thanks to them that we also were able to learn from their presentations what their issue committees were doing and what their concerns were about water on their front lines for peace. So thanks very much for the issue committees here and others who will be thanking as well by email. So thanks very much. On to the next.
Okay, thank you. And I will, let's see, the next person on my list here is Barbara Blong.
Hello. I'm joining today because I wasn't able to join the event itself too much. So I wanted to get in touch with you guys today and find out what you thought, how it worked, etc. And I'm, as usual, very impressed by Ellen. She's a very wonderful worker.
Thank you. And where are you from, Barbara?
San Francisco.
Thank you very much for your comments and coming in and participating with us on a debriefing session.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And next is Eileen Kurkowski.
Well, hi, everyone. Yeah, I was thrilled. This is my first Congress that I actually worked on, but I've certainly appreciated too. And I got caught up with my issue committee a lot and therefore did a presentation with Cheryl Spencer on war. I was very pleased that we had a special presenter on nuclear energy, which was an issue that I found was not far from St. Cloud, where we originally were going to have an in-person meeting. And then I had a long time interest in plastic, and I was able to fulfill some research needs that I have had for a long time, and that's the bottled water and municipal water. I learned a lot, and that's probably my biggest contribution. However, I was so impressed with the tech committees maneuvering all this and that, and it's just awesome to me because I'm a little bit on the low tech side. I was very impressed with many of the other presenters and was pleasantly surprised and impressed that I think it was Barbara being able to get somebody from Palestine to be talking with us. One of the reasons why I'm in WILPF is because we're international, and we cover so many things, whether it's poverty or war or nukes or treatment of minorities, and of course water and feminism. We offer so much, and it was demonstrated in our Congress. And for me, that's a good reason to join and talk to people who might be like-minded and have them join with you with wherever you live. Because when we start working, you got a lot of people all over the country and the world who are willing to work with you in one way or another. And you're not working alone to get information and to proceed and get the energy when you're feeling low. And now I'm sounding like a promo. By the way, I'm now membership development chair, so I had to plug that in. So I hope you consider becoming or signing up again if you're already a member and bringing more people in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Eileen. And we will have an opportunity to get feedback, I think, on what everyone says as we go, but we want to make sure we hear from everyone, and then it's an open discussion if we raise our hands. So next on my list here is Barbara Taft, and this is great because I think it was you, Eileen, who had a question about the rabbi. So that's really sequential. And that, but we'll allow Barbara to speak, and then we'll go ahead and ask those questions.
Okay, hi everyone. My first thing I want to say is I have to apologize that my voice was not as steady as it should have been during the presentation. I've been having some trouble and I need to have a biopsy on a lump inside my throat. We don't know what it is, but it's causing me to cough and have all kinds of problems. I had a cough drop in my mouth while I was speaking, and as I looked at the video of it all on YouTube, it was embarrassing that I was speaking so badly. But in terms of our speakers, it was quite a big deal to be able to get Mazen to speak, because he's been on a 2-month speaking tour in Australia and New Zealand, and I knew he would still be there, so that I didn't think he was going to say yes, but he agreed. It meant it was 6:30 a.m. on Sunday morning when he was speaking to us. And then we heard from Rabbi Arik Asherman, who had said he was available, and in his location in the Galilee region, it was actually 9:30 at night when he was supposed to speak, and that would have been after Shabbat was over. But he came back and said, well, as a rabbi, he did not want to speak at the same time that Shabbat was still going on, where some of the audience would be. And so that's why he ended up sending us the 4 small interview parts. And I think, you know, it was exceptionally important that people would hear about this, because we're so much concentrating on Gaza that a lot of what's happening in the West Bank is not on our radar at the moment. And so he told us that you know, they had actually won a court case on behalf of the Bedouin shepherds that said that Israeli settlers were not supposed to build a settlement too close. There's some distance requirements, and the settlers kept doing it. And so he had just called the authorities, Israeli authorities, to tell the people that that they weren't supposed to have rebuilt their settlement, their outpost. And while we were hearing from him, a jeep load of soldiers drove up, armed with rifles, every one of them, and he had to go out and speak with them. So this is something that really gets us right into the middle of what's going on, that there is conflict on the ground, not just in Gaza, but also in the West Bank. So, and my only comment about the overall Congress was that after the fact, I found out that there were some Middle East issues that were in presentations done by other issue committees, and we hadn't known about it beforehand, or we could have helped and worked with them on that. So I'm hoping that we can work together a little bit better in the future. So.
Oh,
Thank you. That is very constructive feedback. Thank you very much for that suggestion, and it's noted, Barbara. I just have a quick question before we move on. So did you just say that it was during the recording of this that the Jeep pulled
Yeah.
up the soldiers?
Yeah. He excused himself. This was the longest part of the recording. It was about 8 minutes that he sent. And he excused himself and went outside, and his photographer actually aimed his cell phone out the door, and we could see the Jeep. And then after talking with them, Art came back in and continued speaking to us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Just,
it's really, on the spot kind of learning.
Yeah, just a day in the life, I guess. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. So thank you very, very much for that. And now the playlist is posted in the chat. I know everyone's going to rush to see it again, that specific one. So thank you very much for sharing that with us and the constructive feedback, Barbara. So next we have Betty Trainer, and next to her name says San Francisco.
Hi, thank you so much for doing this kind of roundup. Yeah, I was able to attend a number of the presentations, and I was impressed in general about everything. But I myself and a couple of other of us gave a report back at our own meeting a couple weeks ago, and here in San Francisco in the East Bay, and particularly, I wanted to call out a few things. On the first day, it was kind of general welcoming, and I was impressed by the fact that there's a young WILF network. That's WILF International. And I was curious to know if WILF US has young women as part of that network. But I was really pleased to hear about it. And the presentation by the young woman that talked about it was really good. I also thought Julie, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but she's one of our reps with the, I think, Kabayanki. She did a slideshow kind of on WILF, and I thought it was excellent. I told my San Francisco group that if we ever need to do a presentation about WILF, we should borrow her slideshow because it was very thorough, I thought. And I'll kind of move on. There were other highlights, but on Friday, I did go to the poster session, one of them, and I heard Cheryl Spencer did I thought a really good poster session on San Francisco Bay. And it was it was general and different issues. And we certainly have issues here in San Francisco. I might go get into that a little later, but and then let me see. I guess a big highlight for me too was Sunday, the presentation, the Advancing Human Rights, and Teresa brought to us some really wonderful people, one of whom is here, Kim Poole. Kim, I was really impressed by your presentation. I thought it was very inspiring. And again, a young woman who has joined WILF. And the Indigenous women and bringing us the ideas of the three sisters and how, water is feminine. And I mean, just all these things that just were so good to know about and inspiring. And I was hoping actually that maybe Kim, I could connect with a young woman here in San Francisco that works in the Bayview Hunters Point, which is a neighborhood in San Francisco that is a neighborhood of color, primarily African-American, and is inundated with toxics, and particularly it's right on the bay. And the toxics from the bay, and particularly radioactive uranium that came in back when we were doing nuclear testing, and these were ships that were brought to that area to be cleaned. And now there's a lot of studies going on. We had our grand jury reported on it. And Camila Elam is the person that is very active in that. In fact, San Francisco, we gave a peace talk which she presented information. And I kind of would like to connect Kim and Camila in some way, you know, because I think they could be talk partners or so anyway, that I was very impressed with all that I saw at the Congress, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Betty. And I see your hand, Teresa. Thank you very much for all of the amazing feedback. In regards to Young Wealth, it's something that I would like to see happen here in the U.S. section as well. I know that on Domestic Prisoners of War Issue Committee, we have a couple of young people that have steered to the international wealth to encourage them for larger international participation, and they're both interested in international things. So I think that until we can get a young wealth formed here, I would encourage everyone that has young people on their committees and in their networks and in their branches to really get them involved with Young Wealth International, because I've been present as the International Advisory Board rep, and Julie is the alternate. But as the IAB rep, I've seen a lot of their presentations and a lot of their work, and they are just the brightest group. It just really it swells your heart and gives you a lot of hope for the future, because they are some of the brightest women I've ever been graced to hear from. Okay, and next on my list was Cheryl Spencer, which tied into what you said, but I do see that Teresa Elamine has her hand raised. So Teresa, would you like to speak next?
Oh, I was just asking to be added to the stat now that I know the format. Cheryl told me that we're just kind of doing a kind of round robin for 5 minutes, so I can go at my turn at the end of the stack, wherever the stack is.
Wonderful. Okay, yeah, that's where we're just doing a verbal feedback and decompressing and just letting everyone know what stood out for us.
Yes, thank you, Dee. Thank you, everybody who was involved in creating this amazing Congress. I think I attended every main session. I have 23 pages of notes. I always take notes. And I am very grateful, Betty, for your brief review now to remind me of some of the talks that I particularly enjoyed as well. I did appreciate that we had so many people from outside WILPF giving us talks on their expertise, because, you know, there are people out there who know a lot more about things. Yes, Disarm did a conflict over water history, and then how instead we should nowadays use water as an opportunity to build peace rather than engage in conflict. So we actually, Disarm hadn't really done anything about water. So it made us, you know, look into it. And I can't promise that, you know, we need someone on the committee now to offer to carry forward this topic, because currently we don't have anybody who wants to, you know, we have 11 campaigns already. Can we add a 12th campaign about water? We'll see. I did appreciate the, at the beginning of the main days, you had a land acknowledgement. Kudos to whoever it was who wrote those land acknowledgements. I thought they were really excellent. And yes, I enjoyed Julie's talk, Julie Kabakani, and her slideshow. Yes, I do hope we can borrow it from her, because it really was an excellent summary of WILPF history. And let's see, what else was I going to say? Yes, so I again, from my branch, on my branch's behalf, I looked into the San Francisco Bay. And the main point of that was that as climate change goes on and sea level rises, the average sea level, more and more of the bay, the cities around the bay, will flood. And they won't flood just at the king tides, those are the very high tides, they will be flooded all the time. And so we have to do things around the bay to mitigate that ahead of time. But the point I want to make is that any coastal town, as we've just seen in Florida, right, in Fort Lauderdale, underwater, will suffer from climate change as sea level rise. So I'm pleased to say that my poster session was recorded. And so please go find it if you missed it in the long list of the recordings that Ellen Thomas, thank you very much, Ellen, has put together on the YouTube, on the WILPF YouTube. There's so much stuff. Personally, I will be pointing other peace groups to some of those talks that are particularly pertinent to peace, and especially the anti-nuclear people. So I have to, my job now is to go through the recordings, find the actual link, and pass it on to some of the coalitions that we're part of, because they are full of good information. So let's see what else I wanted to say. I appreciated there was a member plenary session, and we got some money information, financial information. That was good. And so, yes, just so many ways of approaching the topic. I was very pleased. Kudos to the program committee for bringing in all these extra people and showing us the many ways of looking at water. And hopefully, Disarm may be able to continue with this topic. We just need more people to join the committee and take this topic on. Thank you very much, everybody. Done.
Thank you, Cheryl. And yeah, I'm curious to know what's going on with these nuclear submarines everywhere and off the coast of Florida, and the surrounding the ports of entry. I mean, definitely it would be great if Disarm did. If someone volunteer to help Disarm with finding out information surrounding water and the military. To briefly answer your questions, the land acknowledgement was a compilation that Tina Shelton found from different sources, and she wrote it up. Julie Kabakanye actually was a true champion in this, because we had it scheduled that we wanted to do it the opening night as an introduction to WILPF for newer people who might be attending, that, and some of the presenters who may not have known much about WILPF. So we thought, well, people should know who the leadership is and what we do. And so it was brought up during a session that we had with Barbara Nielsen, that we should reach out to Genevieve Riccoboni in our UN office and have her give some information about, WILPF structure. So she couldn't attend, but she did give us notes. She gave us some links to look at, and there was so much information there. We were like, what are we going to do with this? How are we? So it occurred to me that since we had the people working, the introduction to international, that I could ask our alternate for the IAB rep, who is Julie, if she would be willing to stand in and do that. And she whipped that together like that, like within days. And it was powerful and just blew us all away. So thank you, Julie. And thank you for mentioning that and everything you've said that really brings a lot of this to the forefront, Cheryl. So Cricket Jane Doyle is next on the list here of people that I see in a participants list.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm really enjoying listening to the feedback, because it's reminding me of things that I loved, and also letting me know about a few things that for one reason or another I missed, and that I might very well want to go look for in YouTube, and I will do that as time permits. I think my feedback about the Congress is that, first of all, I thought the content from beginning to end was just excellent, and I felt terrible when I had to miss something, because I knew I was probably missing something very good. And I know enough about the difficulties of getting the speakers, of working out the tech issues, figuring out if we had enough money, just so many people stepped in and took on bits of chaos and cleared it up, like your story just now about Julie. And I think that to me is very representative of WILPF as an organization. I have seen this just listening to Betty Trainer, who was on the committee with me when I was the coordinator back in 2005. I don't remember, I don't know how much, she didn't mention it as, oh, this was so much better. But at that point, people worked together so hard to put on a Congress. Similarly to what happened here, I sometimes refer to working with WILPF women as trying to herd frogs or trying to herd cats. And I think the reason I look at it that way is that everyone has some skill they bring and they're accustomed to getting things done. Those things aren't always go along the same line. Sometimes they're in conflict, but the conflicts get worked out too. And I think we should be happy to be part of an organization where people do stand up and say what they think is important. They then take on the work to do something about it. And that is for me what the Congress represented, sort of the infrastructure of the Congress, which I saw a lot of as the late on chair of the National Congress Committee. The other thing that we haven't talked about, although some of us on this show, on this meeting know about it, was the very difficult decision we made to go from an in-person to a virtual Congress when we decided that the cost per individual would be so great that a lot of people wouldn't be able to come. If we tried to make it a dual Congress, so it was both online and in person, that was even more expensive. And in the end, we said, no, we're just going to go to the virtual. And I want to thank everybody who went through that period and knows how very hard, how very painful it was. We have to thank the board for giving us a donation to bring us to even in so that we could afford this Congress. I haven't seen the financials yet, so I don't know how much we're actually taking out of what was offered to us or voted for us. I'm not sure they offered it. I think we went begging. But that's something else that was underlay the Congress that most people didn't know about. Those of you who took part in that, I want to thank you for that too. And I have one critique. Well, I have two critiques. One is that I didn't realize that most of the gathering rooms were poster rooms. I did not know that. And I think somehow if that had been in the language a little clearer, I at least probably would have gotten to more of those. I tended to take breaks at that point to deal with other things I had to do. And so I missed a lot, and I'm really sad about that. The other critique I have is that by putting the time only as the East Coast time, I at least missed a whole day or almost a whole day because I thought we were starting at 4 o'clock. So I got on at 4 o'clock. Well, that of course was 4 o'clock Eastern time, and I'm on the West Coast. So I missed a lot. I think having the various times laid out there, I understand from somebody that I'm not the only one that had that problem. Those are two tiny little changes I would make. Otherwise, I want to thank Dee for all the work that she put into this, and particularly when things didn't go her way and she had to kind of live with changes that weren't her first choice. That's hard when you have a lot of responsibility. So I want to thank her for going through that as well and surviving, coming out the other side. And of course, all the other people who put it together. And finally, those of you who came in from the outside who hadn't been any of the work putting it together, but who made it a good Congress by being there. And I think showing up, somebody once said something, there's some famous saying about showing up, but all of you get thanks for showing up. Thank you.
Thank you, Cricket. And as Cricket mentioned, Cricket Jane Doyle was a Congress coordinator in 2005, and she sent me a couple of messages. If you need some help, let me know. If you need some help, let me know. I'm willing to help. I'm over here. And it just turned out that at the time I was stepping down from being National Congress Committee Chair, which I was originally appointed to do, and moving into the role of Congress Coordinator. And so there was an opening for the National Congress Committee Chair. And, there's Cricket, if you need any help. So we asked a younger person, but she had some things going on. We wanted to push the younger women to the forefront, but she had some other stuff going on. And there was Cricket Jane, if you need some help. So she became our National Congress Committee Chair, and she did an amazing job. And your job is not done yet. I need to speak with you regarding some other ideas that have stemmed out of this Congress. So we probably will need one more meeting. So just giving you a warning, a heads up there. So
Okay. No problem.
and thank you for the critique about the times. That was a little more difficult because as I was designing the schedule, there's only so much room. You couldn't list like every time zone out in these little, Excel spreadsheets. And we went with a model that Mary Harrison Hansen did during during Congress, the year that she had it, the last one. And what it was is we used an Excel spreadsheet that could be updated like instantly without having to go through the webmaster every time a change needed to happen. So, being that we had to use that format, there wasn't room to list every time zone, but I did notice that Mary Harrison Hansen had it sprinkled all throughout that schedule. All times are Eastern Standard Time. So, we went with the EDT and all throughout that schedule, it says, if you look, it's repeated throughout there. All times are EDT. So I'm glad that you were able to catch on. I'm really sorry that you missed some of that part of it. And definitely noted about the poster session, somehow making it even more clear. We did have it categorized under additional programming on the website, but maybe it should just say poster rooms only or something like that. So that's for the next coordinator to take note of. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Cricket, for your work. So next we have Barbara West. Is she here? Barbara West. Okay, she might have stepped out. So then we'll come back to her. Then we have Ellen Thomas. Oh, it's our YouTube wizard. Are you here, Ellen?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
This has been quite a chore here. I'm on the last stages of it. I'm double checking all the links in the supporting lists of who spoke at what time that I'm going to be sending out to everybody as a PDF. So
Yes,
this is what it
yes.
looks like. So it's where you can find the speakers. There's something that was in a breakout that didn't get put into it that I put there. And then these are the minutes that they're at, and there's links within the minutes. So just it's been quite a task. I've enjoyed it, but I'll be glad when
Thank
it's
you.
over. Yep.
Thank you
And,
so much,
I
Ellen.
would like to say one thing about the poster rooms. Considering I didn't know until they happened that what was in the poster rooms were also going to be shown during
in the main room during somebody giving a talk. And I would have liked to have known that because I got kind of stressed out about recording the poster rooms and so forth. So, and the poster rooms that I was handling, I had one person show up in one poster room and over several days of doing it. And it just seemed to be, to me, for the tech crew, to be more work than it was really worth. Okay. And that's it. You did a wonderful job, everybody. And thank you for doing all the preliminary work so that we tech people could shine because you shone.
Thank you for all of your hard work, Ellen. In regards to the poster sessions, they were listed under additional programming, and then there's a little category inside that said when there was a speaker in the room. But for purposes of recording, we probably should have emphasized to whomever was on tech duty that time to please record that session for everyone. Fortunately, Cheryl's was recorded, but not everyone's was, which is kind of sad. And Kim Pool's definitely was recorded because we had to go over due to unforeseen, developments, and so she was able to address everyone, which was pretty good instead of just being in a breakout room. So thank you very, very much again for your hard work editing and putting together the website for us.
You're welcome.
So I see in chat that Teresa Elamine has to leave and she would like to speak next. Thank you for assisting with that, Cheryl. I will find her name on the list.
Well, I'm unmuted, so, and I turned my camera on, so if I could go ahead, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to add your spotlight to you.
Oh, what is that? Oh, no.
Yeah, so we can all see you. You're there on the screen.
Well, it is like 98 degrees in Georgia, and we're just really suffering. So I have to keep checking to see if I'm looking discombobulated. But at any rate, I did complete the survey, and I can tell you, and Cricket reminded me, I am not a fan of virtual. And because I had the wonderful experience of the Triennial in Chapel Hill, which I think was probably about a decade ago. It was the most fabulous meeting, triangle or a triennial or other meetings of women coming together to talk about changing the world. So being in the same space, particularly at a university space, which I was baffled, given the universities in Minnesota, that people did not reach out to universities who tend to be more accommodating and less costly than a hotel, in my experience. I just canceled an event at a hotel to keep them from getting an additional $2,700 after the $2,000 that they've already taken. So I'm not a fan of trying to do things at hotels, and even more so now. But just so you know, 25 years ago, I had the big idea to start the Southern Anti-Racism Network. So this Juneteenth, we're celebrating our 25 years of community organizing. And I say that to say that the Advancing Human Rights workshop, which Kim Poole just completely, it was like knocked me off my feet, because the way of water, I had no idea that it was going to be so wonderful that she was bringing in the way of water in the way she did. And I recruited Maureen Taylor to also speak because of the water issues affecting mostly Black people in Detroit and in Flint. And so that was really great and in keeping with the Advancing Human Rights kind of racial justice approach, as well as my lifetime work for racial justice. And so, Kim, I can't thank you enough. And by the way, recruited Kim Poole on February 16th, and I'll never forget that day. I told her about WILPF, and she went right to the website, joined immediately, got the welcome letter from Darian, and she was in. And in this very short time, she's been to Geneva, and she's impressed the people at the International Secretariat, and she has something big coming up on Juneteenth, which I hope I can be there. But what I said in the survey too is that the Ellens are amazing in terms of the tech, because I really only got to attend on Sunday, and I spent my whole day going to pretty much everything on Sunday. But that was it. But knowing that Ellen Thomas has all these recordings that she's getting out, and I've spent quite a bit of time listening to the recordings. So that's something we should really be proud of, given so much is virtual these days. But I am not a fan of virtual. And I hope that when we do the next Congress, that we really do look at costs, because it was really making me quite upset, Cricket, with the numbers that you were putting out about registration, because I knew there was no way I could afford that in terms of the in-person that was going on. And it was just shocking to me because I know that universities tend to make it easy, and they do have a kind of conference program. And I think the next time we do the Triennial, when we're doing it in person, we really need to look towards universities. They have housing, they have all the rooms, and then they have the dining services. So it's a lot less costly. And I see quite a few people in the meeting I don't recognize, like Lois Herman and others. And I'm not sure how people were introduced. Mario Galvin and others in the meeting. I don't recall ever being in a meeting before. Rhonda Solik, Barbara Blong, and others. And I do want to say to Eileen that I am a membership recruiter, and I really am serious about it. So when I thought about the Congress, I was thinking about people that I could invite in who might join. And so Maureen Taylor, who lives in Detroit, she knows about WILPF, but there are other women I know in Detroit that I hope will consider joining WILPF. And because I did a tour, virtual, imagine, recently, Cleveland, reestablishing the Cleveland branch, which was one person for many, many years and hadn't been a branch for a long time. But I think that when we do these kinds of meetings, WILPF is so impressive in terms of our human resources. We should always think about inviting people who might join, whether they be in your own community or some other place where you know people, because the U.S. section of WILPF is the largest by far. And I imagine us growing to 2,000 in a few years. And I hope that encourages the sections around the world to build, because we must build on the Palestinian question in particular. So those of us in the Palestine working group with WILPF International, we know how hard it is. And so I just say, think recruitment when we do something as powerful and as wonderful as this Triennial turned out. It was just amazing. And I did tell Dee how happy I was at seeing her just doing things so well on Sunday. And just now, also this whole process of us being able to talk and to talk as long as we can talk, some of us. But yeah, the virtual turned out great this time. But again, I'm not a fan of virtual. So I hope that we can do it again and bring back the triennial Congress concept of the Triangle branch in North Carolina some
Thank you so
years
much,
ago.
Teresa. And I don't mean to cut you off. It's been like
Thank you.
8 minutes and we're trying to do
Oh,
each,
no,
but
I was talking too long. I find that the older I get, the more I talk.
well,
So the older I get, the more I talk. So please forgive me. And Betty, it is so great to see you sounding so strong, Betty Trainer. Come back to the Advancing Human Rights Working Groups when you get a chance. Thank you.
So Teresa Elamine is our Advancing Human Rights Issue Committee Chair, for anyone that may not know. And I'm really happy that Teresa brought up a couple of things that we have not had a chance to really detail to everyone. This is a chance. So the reason that a hotel was chosen this year around, instead of a college campus, was due to a recommendation. I met with 3 of the immediate past. I met with Mary Harrison Hansen. I met with Chris Wolbeck, and I met with Laura Dewey, who were the previous 3 Congress coordinators. They all said the same thing. They really urged and encouraged that we went through a hotel. They had a lot of issues with people trying to help people to book rooms and whatnot. You know, people would want to switch up at the last minute, or their roommates wouldn't show up. And it was just so much extra like stress and involvement. They said, you know, go with the hotel. And I thought about it and I said, well, you know, we are facing people with different abilities too, or, you know, a large percentage of our demographics, you know, they're differently abled. Perhaps it's better to go with a place where we're all in one place and there's no travel involved. However, we did explore the universities that were here in Minnesota, because originally we thought it was going to be in person here in Minnesota. And so the site committee at the time, and Lois Herman is one of the people who will be coming up, that is also a member of the Congress Programming Committee, and she is a Minnesota resident. So as we all met and brainstormed about colleges, like College of St. Catherine came up, and another one came up, I can't recall offhand, but I looked into them. I called them up, and one did not have accommodations. Another one, you know, to fit an anticipated large amount of people, which we were hoping would be at least 100. The other one did not have, they were under construction. They had closed down. They were doing some renovations after COVID. The University of Minnesota, nobody wanted, because, I mean, even we had one person on the committee, on the site committee and on the programming later, who has worked at the University of Minnesota for almost 50 years. And she wouldn't even recommend it. She was like, nope, you know, when it came up, no, because it's a huge sprawling campus. It's over over a riverbank. It's in 2 different areas. And anyone who's ever been to the University of Minnesota campus knows that the buildings are very widely spaced apart. So we would, you know, I did call and check with them anyway. And I said, well, do you offer go-karts for people that maybe have difficulty walking from building to building? Because where we go to eat is going to be very far away from where we go to different halls for Congress meetings. And they said, no, we don't offer any kind of go-kart. So that did it for us. We went with the recommendation from the people here in Minnesota of an indigenous-owned hotel, which gave us a wonderful rate of $119 a night, which you could split that 2 or 3 ways a night, and it was affordable. You know, not much more than what what would have happened in a campus setting. The only thing is that we still had to cover food, and that all the food had to be bought within a hotel. There's the price. All of their technology. We compared 2 different vendors, but we went around and we really examined this. And so this is how we wound up going virtual. The cost was just too high. And I hope that the next one is in person, and I hope it's in a town with a lot of college campuses that are closer together, and you know, that the people can get from building to building easily. Thank you. And Cricket Jane, your hand is up. Did you want to maybe speak 1 minute or less, or do you want to wait till we come back and just have
Oh, no, I can say it quickly. You, when Teresa kept saying we should have looked at universities, we should have looked at universities, I just wanted, and you took it on, that was very carefully looked at first. And it was not just pushed off the table. It was something you tried very hard to do. And thank you for explaining we got a good room rate, but the food cost a lot and the tech problem and so forth. We did a lot to cut the budget and we still just could not get it down. Thank you for laying that out, Dee.
Thank you for also speaking about this, Cricket. So next on the list is the amazing Genevieve Brooks, who is on our development team. Is it development? I got to make sure I had the right words because I got in trouble for saying membership development during the Congress. So
Development Committee.
yeah, I got it right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say that it was very inspiring to attend the Congress. I am so thankful that there are recordings because there's a lot of meat there, and I need to go back and do what Cheryl did and take notes because it was just so professionally done. I was very proud, and I just thought the content was superlative. I thought the tech people did an amazing job. I mean, just from start to finish, it was very, very good. And I really love the land acknowledgements as well. The only thing I would say, and I don't know if we'll see the breakdown with your report, Dee, or just from a development perspective, I wanted to see more outside people actually attending. I know that we had a lot of incredible presenters that were outside WILPF. But I was hoping we were trying to do social media outreach. Mary Beth had done a lot of Facebook posts and we were sharing them. But I don't know if we have a sense how many people outside of WILPF actually attended. But that was, one thing I just, when we're producing such great content, it's like you want more people to see it. Mm-hmm. But other than that, that's my main comment. But thank you so much. It really is inspiring to have these national, coming together, all of us, and like the August gathering, and then this, which was much more, focused on the topic of water, but just so great to see so many people from all over the country.
Thank you. So in the beginning, everyone should know, in the beginning, when we thought this was going to be here in Minnesota, I had this fabulous idea of doing a retreat to try to go and visit one of the local reservations that I go to often, and look at some of the history of Minnesota from there, from at that southern, the Lower Sioux reservation. And so Genevieve really went out of her way to help us try to get the money because, we were told, there's no funding for that. But Genevieve really took her time and really sat down and worked really hard with myself and some members of the local community. And we did the best we could to come up with funds to try to cover as many people. And she helped us apply for grants and everything else. So Genevieve, I haven't forgotten that. And I want to say thank you for taking that time with us. Even though
Dee, I need to hop off, but I did put what I wanted to say in the chat in response to Ellen. But most organizations, especially 100-year-old organizations, know where their congresses or conventions are going to be 2 cycles out. So it's not too early to start planning where will we be in 3 years so that we can do something in person. And as I said, colleges and universities, and there are numerous ones around places where we actually have branches now, like the Atlanta area, which I do know well. So I just wanted to say that as we kind of plan for the next triennial. And I do have to go. I'm in fundraising mode, so I gotta hop off. But thank you so much. It was a great Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Teresa. So I just got corrected in chat that I said, oh, I got it hard via PM more than once. It's Mary Hanson Harrison. So allow me to correct the record. It's Mary Hanson Harrison, not Mary Harrison Hanson. Apologies. So next up, we have Joan Goddard, who is on the screen, and whenever you'd like to speak, Joan, we'll listen. And if you are speaking, you're on mute.
Yes, I was muted, but I really don't have anything to say. I've just been very happy to listen, and I'm packing for a week away from home. So I'm sorry. All of a sudden I heard my name. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who did this, especially Dee and the others who worked on getting it ready and during it and everything else. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm looking forward to using the recording, Ellen, as I wrote to you.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Joan. From San Francisco, right? Are you the San Francisco branch?
San
No.
Jose.
San Jose, the southern end of the San Francisco Bay Area. Somehow we have originally 2, 3, 4 branches that are essentially touching San Francisco Bay, which is 50 miles from one end to the other, or maybe a little more if you go past Central. Anyway, whatever. It's confusing and unusual. Thank you.
Yeah, I wonder what that symbolizes. Why is that? Okay.
Well, someday we'll figure it out. If maybe Cheryl knows.
Well, we're a high density. The population is a pretty high density around here.
There you go.
7 million people live around the San Francisco Bay in 110 cities. That you would learn if you listened to my recording of my talk.
110 cities. I had no idea. Wow. Cities and towns. How's that? Cities and towns.
Right.
So next up, we have the amazing Kim Poole, who was just referenced by Ms. Teresa Lamine. And Kim, are you there?
I am there. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to debrief with everyone and the acknowledgement from Miss Betty. Sometimes when you do things, you don't know if people are really listening in a way that they want to apply. For me, listening is it's an action word. And so when you listen and you actually hear, it inspires you to want to do something. And so the fact that she's thinking about, San Francisco's toxic points, it's very similar in Baltimore where I live to Sparrow's Point. The same type of nuclear testing happened in my own town, and they've been painting over pollution. They do murals, and we're supposed to feel better about the toxicity of the water in those areas. And, it's coming out in cancerous ways. And so just thank you for saying that I heard you. I was there. I get it. And now as a result, I want to do something about it. I'm very interested in connecting. Yes, Shangalia, I see your celebratory fingers, spirit fingers, Dee. Dee, you're up next. I really appreciated your coordination. All your side messages, all the messages in between the actual presentation, those things that are invisible because people don't see it. It's not an official meeting. It's not an official presentation. It's just a email. Hey, how you feeling? Are you ready? Do you need anything? That matters. I also really appreciate that from Miss Tina. She did that with me so many times just to make sure that I was actually engaged, to see if I was really ready. Then up next is Miss Teresa, because I wouldn't know that this network existed had she not just pushed it down my throat. I'm doing a lot of things in a lot of spaces around the world, and it's hard to get my attention sometimes, even when things are really great. But Miss Teresa is an attention getter, right? You know her. And so she got my attention. And the first thing that she said when I met her was, I need you to present on my Advancing Human Rights panel discussion for the 35th Triennial Congress. And at that time, I had no idea what WILPF was, or the Congress, or why she was inviting me to do that. And it's because she was moving on spirit. She didn't know why either. Something told her that that was the time, and not only to just join, but to join her in presentation. And it was in divine alignment. It worked out just as it was meant to. And I appreciate the confirmation of seeing spirit at work. I don't want to take so much time, but there are a few things that I did want to mention. First and foremost, shout out from my sisterhood. The other women that were there as a part of the Three Sisters and the watering system, they very much loved the time that they stayed on after they presented. I'm not sure what's happening around membership or if they're interested in joining, but I would love if there was some type of follow-up something digitally that we could send because I had about 5 people in attendance, and I guess there are 3 of the 5, and they're interested in maybe learning more about what membership would look like for them, especially if there's no region in their area, but they still want to just join in general. And so if there is something from the conference that for people that attended the conference that may consider membership that I can just easily forward to them, that would be really helpful for me so that I don't have to be an expert or help to demystify, and that they know and are acknowledged as someone that attended the conference that's considering membership. Second, or I guess that I don't know if it's second or third, I want to, I guess, go back to what I heard someone say about celebrating the young people that were in the room from WILPF International. I don't want us to make science out of what comes right out of our wombs. If every WILPF woman that was on the call, if she just brought a WILPF mini from her family, like that's how the legacy continued based on what I'm learning. Everybody brought their daughters, and many of the women that were in WILPF were younger and they already had daughters, and so they continued the legacy. And so when I looked in the room, I didn't see that same family connection. And so I would say, as you consider doing outreach to younger women through the schools and the universities and even the high schools, think about doing a survey of your own family. Who are the daughters and the granddaughters? Did you build one healthy relationship with a niece or, a sister's daughter? Maybe a younger cousin that you can invite, and start inviting them now, because like what Miss Teresa said, 3 years is not so long in the planning world. It's really now. And so you can tell them now for the next time, and maybe there can be some kind of special thing where you're able to help sponsor them. And so they would love to take a trip. I wanted to shout out some of the people who I really learned from that made me want to, that spurred me into action. So the Money Democracy Committee, they were really great. I think they're out of Texas. And I heard that Democracy Now, or making sure that there's a peace agenda around economies. I'm still reading through some of the literature that they posted, but I'm planning on participating in their money and democracy and anti-capitalism work. I was also really inspired by Miss Tina's final presentation, River of Peace. That to me is just amplification of what we talked about as a part of the Advancing Human Rights panel. They kind of, in my opinion, finished what we started. So Hannah Lee, with what they're doing in Philadelphia, the university students on campus, they are doing some incredible work. Also, I was very impressed with the woman that went before her, not sure of her name, but she spoke of biomimicry and how we move. It's not just about what we build. The methodology matters. How we build it matters. And so she really brought that out. And that really speaks to some of the work that we do. The how matters. And so if we get to our goals and we're using the same tactics that the militarization campaigns use, we're using some of the same tactics like the anti this, and we're against this, and we're against this, and we don't talk enough about what we're for, we're sending out the same vibration, we're sending out the same energy. And so I would just center more discussions about what we're for, what peace looks like, and the how matters. And so I'm with Mama Teresa that in person is a big deal, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is The most important thing somebody can do is pay attention. And so I'll pay attention to this. I'll commit right now to say that I'll be here in 3 years, and I'm okay with being a part of the planning committee. Last but not least, I'm very interested in how WILF USA connects with the international. You all know I have the upcoming Juneteenth, the first International Juneteenth Commemoration and Reparatory Justice webinar is going to be this Wednesday for Juneteenth at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I know the International was there in the beginning, and I did see Miss Sylvie and a few others pop into some of the poster sessions, but there was no discussion about when the next International Triennial Congress was. There was no discussion about how international sections could come to our US triennial, like telling them when it's going to be, so that they're coming to us and we're also preparing to go to them. And I think that those kind of conversations are important at the Triennial Congress. And so hopefully in the next 3 years, that'll be something that is considered. Thank you. I know I took a lot of time. I had a lot to say.
Sure, no problem at all. Thank you very much for your feedback, Kim, and your amazing reflections. I do want to respond to the follow-up question. That is why I'm asking Cricket to host one last meeting. We've been discussing some things, some members of the program committee that we're wanting to hopefully get the board to approve, and so some of the members of the board are on the National Congress Committee as well, and you'll be hearing what the results are of what's being proposed regarding people who are newer and did present with us. And we also created an event on the international Facebook page for the Congress this year. I guess it's like it alternates. I believe the next International Congress, the last one was in 2021. So, every 3 years. So there should be one coming up next year. So I think we alternate years or something like that. But we did create an event on the international Facebook page. Cricket Jane is a member of the International Environmental Working Group, along with myself and Nancy. And Cricket Jane went to the board and got it approved for all of the members of the International Environmental Working Group to be able to attend. And so that was circulated on the list as well, the invite links. And of course, we had the president speaking and other people working on international that we asked to help us get the message out as well. So those are the best answers I can give you regarding that right now. Okay, so next up is Lois Herman from Minnesota. Are you there, Lois? If you're there and you're speaking, you are not on mute, or you are muted. And it looks like we might have to go a little bit over, so we understand if you have to leave and do other things, but we wanted to give everyone their chance. People are going, and we want to give everyone their chance to go on the record with their reflections from the Congress. Hi.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hello. Should I go more on an open screen, or how would you like it?
You're fine. You're
okay. I'm up in the corner.
She was here from the beginning of this process. She was a member of the original site committee member, and she went with us all the way up through Congress programming to the very end, and brought some very solid, valuable people, including Sarah Thompson. So thank you very much, Lois.
Here I am. Okay, I want to thank you all. This was my first WILPF U.S. Congress. I was a member of WILPF many years ago, and I always want to bring Women in Black somewhere on a program, because we used to do that a lot, even in our protests. Then I moved to Italy and spent over 10 years there. And I was part of WILPF Italia and WILPF Europe, and I represented WILPF at FAO and sent a message to the last Congress. I came back about 3 years ago because the COVID pandemic was horrific. I can tell you, it was just so bad there. And as soon as I got back here and recovered from all that tension, I connected with WILPF. And I found that the Minnesota WILPF branch is kind of variable. So I'm not sure where we're going with that. But I also am the managing director of WUNRN, which is Women's UN Report Network, www.WUNRN.com. And I have been particularly researching for water issues, and I send out at least 4 international research research papers every day. And so I've been sending these water information releases to our program committee, but I also have another list that goes all through WILPF in international, and that's usually about food or other issues beyond water, but including water. I thought the Congress was amazing. Dee, I want to tell them that you had gone so far as to reserve a boat. How's that for water? We were going to be on a hotel on the Mississippi River and have a boat dinner. Well, I agree with everything we changed because we had to draw as many people as possible and keep the costs in line. I learned a lot from all of you. And I think Nancy and Dee were my mentors to a certain degree. But WILPF is amazing. And I was very pleased to be able to get the special rapporteur on water and sanitation from the UN to give us a video. And I leave tomorrow to go to the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. I hope to see some WILPF leaders there, but it will be the week when they are focusing on women's issues, women's and girls. And I will be sending out updates on that. So anyone who wants to be on my list, fine. I'm very much a part of WILPF, and I'm progressing in my learning experience back here in the US on US WILPF. Oh, I have to tell you too. I think the Palestine Middle East issue is very, very serious. But also Ukraine. I have 4 Ukrainian children. And it's also serious in North and South Korea, which we worked on a women's peace zone on the demilitarized zone. And also serious in Sudan and Venezuela and Guyana and many places. And now we have a major change in France with a snap election. So the world is really, really on fire in many ways. And WILPF is on the cutting edge of monitoring this and picking our bullet points. That's it.
Thank you very, very much for all your work. And I mean, she never missed a meeting, was always there, colorful feedback, keeping us, keeping our moods light. And thank you for everything, for being here from day one, Lois. You're an amazing part of the team. Okay, and next up is Margot Schulter, who gave us our land acknowledgement on opening night. Hi there.
Thank you very much, Dee. And I just want to say that I was very impressed by the Congress and by the grace of the organizing committee in dealing with the switch in formats from in-person to virtual. And as it happens, the ultimate virtual format made it possible for me to attend, and I appreciate the accessibility, but I know that having to deal with that change was difficult. And I really deeply appreciate the way you did it with grace and creativity. And also, I'd just like to join in the remarks of other people. I thought that Julie Kabukani's presentation on WILPF was really quite wonderful and outstanding.
Thank you, Margot. Wow, I wait till Julie gets to see that. She's gonna be happy. She did all that work pulling it together in very short notice. So thank you. And next we have Mario Galvin. That's all that I'm assuming, because you said thank you, that's all you had to say, right, Margot? Or am I wrong?
That's correct. That was my total statement.
Okay, thank you very much. And Margot's an amazing part of our DPAL committee. I mean, she is just so wonderful to work with. She's on Disarm. She's on pretty much every issue committee there is. So she's an amazing contributor to National WILPF. Hi, Mario. How are you and where are you from?
There. I am a member of the Sacramento area WILPF, and I am here today because I missed the National Congress, and you know, I'm busy in a number of other things. You know, I'm also a member of Peace Action, other organizations, and I do a lot of work with the Zapatista movement in Mexico. So, you know, I have don't believe it from this picture, but I wear a lot of hats. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I am a member of WILPF recently, both out of respect for the history of WILPF. You know, we in Peace Action, we're boasting that we've been around for 40 years. you guys are almost 3 times that long here. And also, just in terms of the important role that women really can play in the world today. You guys are the majority of the world population, you know, not to, you know, make a big distinction, you know, between, you know, male and female. We really have to work together on this. And that's, you know, another thing I'm looking at in terms of how, you know, men have to accept both the responsibility for our warlike nature, you know, the warrior complex, as well as for our lack of participation in the caring aspect of humanity, exemplified by Rianne Eisler's work, you know, in developing partnership, and you know, how our society marginalizes the role of women. You know, the fact that mothering is such an immensely vital role that has no role in politics or in the economic way that we set up the world. And finally, I just wanted to say that I mean, of course, I really feel like I have nothing to say to this particular conversation. If we come around again, I would raise other points, but I just want to highlight, I think, too, the importance of WILPF on the international level. I think that we in the United States are so, I don't know, Amerocentric. You know, we talk about Eurocentrism as a thing in our culture, and I won't even get into racism and all that, but I think it's really important for us to look beyond our borders, see that we're part of the world, and I applaud WILPF for that. So I'll take my leave now, and I just really appreciate all the work everyone has done on this, and I'm just happy and glad to be a member of WILPF. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mario. And it's so nice of you to give a nod to the mothering aspect of things on Father's Day. I thought that was really beautiful and symbolic. The other thing I'd like to respond to in your comment that may help. While we were forming this Congress, yes, there were a lot of people that came in and said, hey, look over there, look what's going on in, you know, in another country with water. I do take responsibility for gearing it back to domestic issues, because we have a very large country, and there are a lot of issues that we have domestically. I am having worked, you know, currently in my assignment as international advisory rep. I am urging and encouraging the next Congress that's international to focus on global water issues. We'll see if they take it up, but I think that would be a really fine thing if they you know, got something that united us instead of you know, all those things that really horrify us, you know, that they focus on something like this that we can all do together. So thank you very much for your comments again. And next up we have Regina Sneed.
Hello, I hadn't anticipated making a comment. I was just wanting to hear what people's comments were from their experiences. I did not attend the Congress this year. So.
Okay, did you get the link in the chat where you can see it? If you want
Yeah, I can look at it now. I couldn't look at it then. I know where to look at the wonderful videos that are available.
Wonderful. I hope you can catch up and let us know what you think if you want to fill out the survey that we sent.
I will.
Okay, thanks, Regina. And next up we have Ms. Robin Lloyd.
Here I am. There I am. Very zigzaggy today. my blouse is like that. So yeah, I don't have too much to say, but I enjoyed it. My problem was I missed some of the presentations because it was our Quaker quarterly meeting the same weekend. So I was here and then I was there. I enjoyed working with Jill Clark Golub, who is new on our Burlington branch, and working on sanctions. She has roots in Nicaragua and had a lot to contribute there. And then I did get to take part in the Sunday afternoon talk by Kim Poole, and funny thing was, I'm in the midst of planting a garden and my birthday. So for my birthday, we planted a three sisters garden with the corn, the the corn, the beans, and the squash, and that was fun. So thank you everyone for your hard work on this. I think as these kind of conferences go, that there was a lot of variety and a lot that could hold one's interest. So I'm glad the way it turned out.
Thank you very, very much, Robin. And that's so exciting to hear that you have a Three Sisters garden going on. First time I heard about it was at the Lower Sioux Reservation at the museum, and they actually have a field there that you can visit next to where the fort was that started I want to say Dakota Uprising, but I might have that wrong. But anyway, that's where the fort was located, in the Lower Sioux Reservation. You've got the Three Sisters field out there. So that was the first time I heard about it. It makes so much sense because they all nourish each other, and looking forward to hearing how your garden turns out.
Okay.
Thank you. And next we have Sue Ann Martinson from Women Against Military Madness and Ending Military Madness Against Mother Earth. Do I have that correct? There, Sue Ann? And Sue Ann, if you are speaking, you're on mute. Uh-oh. Sue Ann, are you there?
I am. I found my
Oh,
place to
wow.
put myself there.
Hey.
The Dakota Uprising is correct. I've spent a lot of time with the Mendota Dakota, who were, of course, directly involved in that uprising. Their ancestors were, and they're relatives of Little Crow, who was the chief. And I wanted to thank Dee for being so wonderful to work with and so present there the whole time, that there were things going on. I'm short, so sometimes I don't show up very much here. It was a wonderful conference. I learned so much. There were so many good workshops and presentations, and
I'm still going to be I took notes, but I'm still going to be going back, and I have a blog called riseuptimes.org, and I'm going to be posting as many of them as I can. I'm going to spread them out. They're, they aren't, most of them aren't timely. The one that is timely is Kelly's presentation from Nuke Watch. And she spoke more generally, but right now at WHAM, which is I'm part of, Women Against Military Madness, we are working very hard on the Monticello plant, which is way, first of all, it has leakage in the water of deadly chemicals. Secondly, they want to extend it to 90 years, and it's already at 53 years over its limit. And Kelly and also a couple of the WHAM committees, including End Military Madness Against the Earth, have taken up working on that. So we're continuing to present that. I did notice that my presentation, which was a little bit different from the many presentations that were much more specific, was more of a general overview. And it isn't on the, it isn't, Ellen, it wasn't posted, so I don't know why that is. And it would be nice if it was posted, but if it's not, it's all right too. But that's about what I have to say. I might be, and have talked a little bit about having our MA committee, which is End Military Madness Against the Earth, coordinate, do some cooperative things with WILPF down the line. And we're in agreement about that. So the committee members and I. And so I just want to say thank you for everybody, for all the work that you did, and Nancy and Tina, and it was just a magnificent conference. And also that you chose to do water, because I including us, we've been working on the fossil fuel issues, and those issues are incredibly important, but so are the water, and they don't get quite as much attention. And that was really wonderful to see that. Of course, Minnesota is a water state. But so we have a special interest in that. But it's important in this country and worldwide, the pollution. So thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sue-Ann. You were so amazing. And thank you for bringing Minnesota 350 to moving aside. I was so selfless. She actually brought in Minnesota 350. She says what they're working on, it's so important. I'm willing to give up my time.
Well, it was actually not 350. It was 350 is done a lot of work on the pipelines, and they're kind of moving on right now.
It's
but
the best piece.
It was the Friends of the Boundary Waters.
Thank you.
Sorry, Dee. And that's okay, because I can understand why it's confusing. But there are mining interests that are the boundary waters that are shared between Canada and the US up on the northern borders, and they're one of the most, I think the second most recreation used place in the world. And they're beautiful and they're pristine, and they're Lake Superior's there, and it's all these other lakes, and it's just gorgeous. And there's threatening of especially copper mines going in, because their tailings are terrible, and if the dams break, they cause just terrible devastation to the land. So the Friends of the Boundary Waters have been working for quite a few years and are still managing to hold off polymet mine and twin metals and keeping the boundary waters protected. So
thank you. And sincere apologies to Vu for mixing things up there. You're right. 350 was another one that we had been encouraged to reach out with, and Friends of the Boundary Waters came and they brought it. They brought an amazing, beautiful presentation. So this is
They
all
did. They
comes from
did.
Carl. So thank you.
Hello. Hi.
Sue-Ann is the last person that had to
Dee, may I?
Well, if I can finish. Sue-Ann was the last person to speak, and now we're going to open up the floor. I see a couple of hands up. And if anyone has any questions, please go ahead and ask. I see Ellen Thomas first, and then Lois. I don't know if it was Ellen that just spoke now, but
Yes.
you're up.
Yes, I want to speak to Sue-Ann. I'm looking at the transcript, and you say that you spoke and that it isn't in there, and I'd like to know what time and what day it was that you spoke and see what's.
Yes, it was day 4, and it was at 11:45, right after Kelly from Nuke Watch.
Okay, and you're not in there at all, or you?
Well, in the
haven't been
big
mentioned.
list that you've sent out, it has day 4, but it doesn't have my presentation.
Did you watch it?
My presentation? No,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It may be that I missed putting your name in there, but the presentation may be there, so I apologize, and I will make
Well,
up.
that's okay. You've done so much good
Well, I
work.
want to make
you
sure
know.
that it's right, so is that 11:45 Eastern time or Minnesota time?
Minnesota time.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The only time that matters.
Yeah. I used to live in Duluth and
okay.
Twin Cities.
You know that.
And you know. Okay, so next up is Lois Herman and Nancy Price, Mario Galvin.
There we go. I would just like to thank Robin Lloyd for the wonderful movie she made on the Beijing Peace Train. This year is Beijing plus 30, and that will be the theme of CSW. But most of all, that is it's a captivating film, and it shows areas that are still very significant for women leading the way to peace. And so I want to thank you, Robin. I continue to put that out maybe 2-3 times a year, and I know we had it at the conference, and it really brought awareness to many members who didn't know about the train. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you as well. I second that. I second very much. That was fascinating to see some of the history and familiar faces. Next up,
Lois, oh, excuse me. Could you put information about that in the chat? Wham has a movie committee.
Okay. Would you give me your email? Well, maybe if I go out of this screen, I'll lose it. But if you give me your email, what is that?
It's Seasnon, and it's the body of water, plural, SEAS, like, and the Catholic sister,
S, all right.
S, like the body of water.
This is recorded, but do you want to get the rest of the email address via written chat, or because I don't know that you know everyone who sees this, you may be added to random lists or something like that, Sue-Ann, so you may not want to give that out on this part of the recording publicly.
Well, I can put it in the chat if you think I should.
All right.
Yes, please.
Deal.
Okay, Nancy is up.
Hi. Hey, dog.
Oh, so I just wanted to thank Lois, who, through her knowledge of the UN, was able to get to ask the UN Special Rapporteur on the human right to water and sanitation to send us a welcoming video, and it's worth listening to him because he lays out his personal as well as his, I suppose you could say, mandate to be an advocate for the human right to water and sanitation, which is the Sustainable Development Goal number 6. But he is so well spoken and so well committed to the values of keeping water in public hands. He's against privatization. He's for transboundary agreements between, I suppose you could say, municipalities and countries, so that we don't have water wars over boundary waters, but we have people sitting at the table to agree to how they're going to manage these boundary waters. And it's really inspiring that he will be a voice of that, standing firm, standing tall on those issues as we go into the late 2020s, because by 2030, these sustainable development goals are to be realized. And it's going to be quite a challenge when you think of the great multinational water corporations that want a piece of the pie in providing privatization and private services for water and sanitation. So thanks so much, Lois. We didn't get that video until about a day or two before the Congress was to start. So it was a great relief when we received that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and Mario Galvin and Sue Ann has her hand up. Again?
I have my hand up.
You do.
Oh, we'll take it down.
So I guess Mario will close it out for us then.
All right, thank you. And again, thank you for the opportunity to share, what if I had been in the Congress, and actually, I want to mention something that I have raised up and we talked about here in the Sacramento area WILPF chapter, and that is, again, looking at the big picture of all of the different issues that we, not only WILPF, but Peace Action and thousands of other organizations here struggling for social change are facing, which just seems to go on endlessly, and we never get it done. Anything, well, I don't want to say we don't get anything done, but what I really want to say, I'll cut to the chase, is we need to break out of the political structure in which we are trapped here in the United States and in other countries around the world. In a nutshell, we end up voting for the lesser evil. In the coming election, we have two candidates that are both only minimal support. I think I saw recently that both Biden and Trump, if Biden lives that long, their support is really only around 30%. And I think it's really imperative that we start thinking outside of the system to create an alternative political force that is not or administered or controlled by these political parties that are sold out to corporate money. I mean, we complain about corruption in other countries, but our entire political system is corrupted by things like Citizens United, which says, oh, money is free speech. So now our political system is awash in money. And of course, that's what we don't have. But what we do have is the majority of the population, not only of this country, but of the world. We continue to allow ourselves to be ruled, manipulated, marginalized, and even murdered outright, as in Gaza today, by a tiny elite percentage of the population that use money and violence to control us. So I invite and challenge WILPF as just calling on your long history. Again, it's not only against war. Even when I was in Peace Action, I did have the pleasure of serving on the National Board of Directors of Peace Action for a number of years. And war is not just bombs and nuclear missiles and armies. It's also economic. It's also cultural. There's the there's the ongoing war of men against women, you know, that there's misogyny, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to, I think someone was saying here, you know, we have to stop talking so much about what we're against and what we're for. And also, and this is really what I'm trying to say, is how we, by voting for Democrats or Republicans, we're voting against ourselves. And we need to find, actually, we need to create. I mean, it's not there. It needs to be built. And I invite WILPF to work with Peace Action and all of the other groups, not only here, but around the world, that want that better world through an independent, autonomous, a word I learned from the Zapatista movement in Mexico, a political force. So anyway, I don't expect that there will be a big conversation about that right now, but if I can only just plant that seed along with maybe the three sisters, this could be the fourth sister. It could be the plant that we will grow organically among ourselves of an alternative to violence, power, and money as dominating our society and our lives. So thank you very much, and again, my appreciation and applause for all that you people are doing.
There's a Green Party. How about the Green Party?
I've been there. That got run over by the two-party system. So that's the thing about creating alternative parties, right? We should really, you know, my direct thoughts on that is we need to fight for proportionate representation here, that we have parties that represent the different aspects of our populations and can work together at the table. That's what we need. But, you know, that is from my experience having joined a Green Party. So at any rate, thank you to everyone. Are there any closing comments that anyone else would like to make?
Well, I might say that I certainly agree with you. And actually, my talk is in some ways about what you just said, about a way to collaborate and come together outside of the parties and the current system. And that's what we need to do. The solidarity and the collaboration is very important. I think WILPF already has a head start on some of that.
Yeah, amazing. A lot of coalition buildings. So, okay, and I look forward to that happening as a result of this Congress as well. I hope that we can all continue working together and make for some actual changes in a very important areas. And you know, as Mario mentioned, there's so many different areas that need to be worked on. But for those of us that have a special passion for nature, I definitely look forward to working with the Earth Democracy Committee and hopefully Earth Democracy members. Eileen, I think, are here, and Nancy, of course, is a chair. And so I don't know who else is on Earth Democracy, but I hope that through Earth Democracy, there can be follow-up with some of the people that have joined here. And look forward to meeting with the National Congress Committee again regarding some ideas for the wonderful presenters at this year's Congress. So thank you once again to everyone for showing up and giving your feedback and thoughts and insight. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Peace. You too, Dee.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Save the chat.
Dee, thanks for a great job facilitating.
Great.
Yes. Yes.